Eyewitness News.
Next up, we'll take you to a most spectacular sight. You will not believe what you are seeing.
This may look like India, but it's really New Jersey.
This is the News at 10.
If you've always wanted to visit a mystical, faraway country like India, a bus ride could have taken you there today.
Orientalter here in Edison, New Jersey, only 30 miles from New York City, but today a lot closer, it seems, to India. The story and the explanation are coming up.
If you have ever wanted to visit India, but you can't spare the time or the money, we've got the next best thing.
As we leave you tonight, a passage to India will be a great deal shorter for the next month. Brenda Flanagan reports the sights and sounds of the Far East are as near as the campus of Middlesex County College in Edison.
In Edison, I'm Brenda Flanagan, Channel 9 News. Looks like fun, something to check out this weekend.
In the 70s and 80s, the perception of India in the United States and Canada was largely negative. It was filled with misconceptions and misrepresentations.
So we are talking about 35 years ago when people here, as well as Indian as well as American, they had a different thought process about India and Indian culture.
India was commonly viewed as a country overwhelmed by poverty, often described as dirty and technologically backward. The rich culture of India was almost entirely unknown to the West. While the counterculture of the 60s and 70s introduced some awareness of alternative spiritual practice, it also contributed to a distorted understanding of Hinduism, reducing it to superficial trends rather than a profound spiritual tradition.
And due to this upbringing, even children were embarrassed to wear a chandalo, dress in Indian clothes, or even partake in rituals that were part of day-to-day Hindu life.
The other most important part was our children. A lot of children who were brought up here, they were born and brought up here. They didn't know the culture, our culture, and we wanted to make sure that to make them understand what our culture is, so they can see it, they can visualize it, and they can experience it.
Guru Hari Brahma Swaminarayan Akshardham America ખાતે આપણે બ્રહ્મસ્વરૂપ યોગીજી મહારાજનો શતાબ્દી મહોત્સવ ઉજવી રહ્યા છીએ. સ્વામીશ્રીનો સંકલ્પ છે કે આ ઉત્સવ સર્વોપરી થશે અને લાખો મનુષ્યો અમેરિકન ભાઈઓ પણ એનો લાભ લેશે.
આપણો એક જ ઉદ્દેશ હતો કે અમેરિકાની અંદર જે બધા લોકો છે એ બધાને હિન્દુ ધર્મ શું છે અને હિન્દુ ધર્મના રીત રિવાજો અને આપણી સંસ્કૃતિ, આપણા સંસ્કારો, આપણા નીતિ નિયમો એ શું છે એનો સારો પરિચય થાય એવો પુરુષાર્થ તે વખતે કરવામાં આવેલો.
Swami Shri's dream was simple yet profound. He wanted to introduce the very soul of the East to the West. What transpired was more than an event. It was a bridge between two worlds, forever transforming hearts and minds in ways that still resonate today.
My name is Kishore Planta. On behalf of Cultural Festival of India, as well as BAPS Swaminarayan Akshardham, it is our great pleasure to welcome you all.
So for organizing this festival, we have to face several challenges ahead of us, as this was a major festival for 31 days in outdoors undertaken by the BAPS for the first time.
The volunteers have never celebrated or organized any festival of this scale and for the 1 month length, because there were only 5 mandirs and people were celebrating some little samayas. So this was very big challenge because nobody had experience in any of this area.
It was everybody's wish that we hold this event in New York.
When we were looking for the site, the major criteria was that it has to be minimum 100 acres. We have to have minimum 3,500 car parking, and it should have a proximity of international airport. The first location we saw was Queen's College. They were asking me how many people you expect. I said about 1 million people over 30 days period. I couldn't convince. So I went to Hofstra University. They did not respond to me properly. So from there, I also tried to call Pace University, Manhattan, nothing possible. So I went to Rutgers campus. On my way from Rutgers to Expo Hall, I stopped by at Middlesex County College because I saw that it's beautiful like a golf course. So I said, what is this here? So I went inside, went to the office and talked to Mr. Paul Hill. He started laughing. He says, what are you thinking? I said, well, we want to do festivals. I think your site would be good site.
આમાં કેવું હોય ફેસ્ટિવલનું ગ્રાઉન્ડ નક્કી હોય કોઈ જગ્યાએ કંઈ કરતા હોય ને આમાં ઊંધો તો ગ્રાઉન્ડ જ નહોતું જે જગ્યાએ ન્યુયોર્કમાં કરવાનો કે જ્યાં કરવાનો તો હજી ગ્રાઉન્ડ નક્કી નહોતું.
And the festival was about maybe 2 or 3 months away. We had advertised it everywhere. There was just one slight problem. We didn't have where it was going to be hosted. So we didn't have the land.
I remember about 1 year before festival, Jim, who I was working with, said, we can bring the tents from our electronic show in Las Vegas to your festival grounds. But where do you want to deliver everything? I laughed and said, the festival can be anywhere within 250-mile radius of New York City.
I had with me the small television with the VHS connection. So we used to show the festivals we did in India, and we did festival in London in 1985. So I used to keep this and to show, keep with me all the time, 24 hours. And I showed him. He says, Kiran, this is something amazing. He says, I want you to do it here. I said, but they refused. They say, we cannot give you because we have summer session here. So he said, don't worry about it. Consider it is done. So immediately he called the president, Dr. Edwards. He says, I'm sending Kiran Patel. Listen to him and do what he tells you to do. Sign the contract. We want this festival in Middlesex County College.
There were only 11 small mandirs or so back in 1990. There were no cell phones, no emails. Computers were still in its early stages. And yet, we needed to figure out how to work together remotely throughout North America.
How to create a nagar, the whole ground with the different mandirs and spots and exhibitions and programs.
ત્યારે તમે નહીં માનો પ્લાનિંગ છે ને પેપર ઉપર નહોતું ઓન સાઇટ ચાલી નક્કી થાય કે ભાઈ અહીંયા આ ગેટ ઊભો રાખશું કઈ સાઈઝનો ગેટ છે માપવાની જગ્યા અહીંયા ગેટ ફિક્સ થયું આગળ જવાનું કે અહીંયા આ સ્પોટ મૂકશે આગળ હિલ જેવું આવે તો આ હિલ ઉપર આ મંદિર કરશું બીજું સ્પોટ આવે તો અહીંયા આ મૂકશું એ ચાલીને 3 થી 4 દિવસમાં આખા પ્લાન ત્યાં ઓન સાઇટ કર્યા.
આટલો મોટો ફેસ્ટિવલ એમાં કેટલા છોકરાઓ જોઈશે, કેટલા પાર્ટિસિપન્ટ જોઈશે, કેટલી છોકરીઓ જોઈશે, કેટલો મેન પાવર જોઈશે કે એને કેવી રીતે કરીશું. અને અત્યારે જો છોકરાઓને લેવાના હોય તો પણ એમની સ્કૂલ ચાલુ છે તો એ કેવી રીતે આપણે એ ગોઠવણ કરીશું. પછી એ જે બહારના ઇન્સ્ટ્રક્ટર છે કઈ ટાઈપના આપણે ડાન્સ કરવાના છે, કયા ઇન્સ્ટ્રક્ટર આવશે, કોણ અહીં આગળ શીખવાડશે, એ બધા ક્વેશ્ચન્સ આપણા મગજમાં ચાલી રહ્યા હતા.
Empowering women. This was the first time the women's wing led and managed such large-scale volunteer efforts in the United States and Canada. The responsibility and the trust placed in their hands was unprecedented.
One of the major challenges was to develop the skill set and the knowledge of Seva amongst all the male and female volunteers who were assigned to this project. And being comparatively a smaller organization at the time, volunteers were scarce to come by and the need was quite big for the festival.
We had to create a whole infrastructure to train, accommodate, and coach volunteers who either quit their jobs or took off for a very long period.
There were only 300 Satsangi families all across North America. And we estimated that we will need more than 2,000 volunteers.
ઉતારો અમારો બાવણી સ્ટ્રીટ અને ફ્લશિંગ બાજુ અમે ડૉક્ટર હર્ષદ ભટ્ટનું કોન્ડોમિનિયમ હતું ત્યાં અમે 27 વોલેન્ટિયર્સો રહેતા પુરુષો એવી રીતે બહેનોનું હતું 2 ગાડીઓ અહીંથી હું મારી ગાડી લઈને આવ્યો હતો ને મહેન્દ્રે પોતાની ગાડી તો સવારના 13 બહેનો અને 13 ભાઈ એ ગાડીમાં બેસી જાય મંદિરેથી લંચ લઈ લેવાનું ગાડીમાં ટ્રંકમાં ભરી કાઢવાનું અને અમે બધા લોંગ આઇલેન્ડ ઓફિસમાં જઈએ.
Financial challenges. With only 300 to 400 families involved, the financial sacrifice needed for such a monumental project was immense. It took every bit of courage and faith from the coordination and planning. In 1990, there were only 11 mandirs scattered across the United States and Canada.
But one of the major concerns and the challenge for the new location was whether people would come and visit in large numbers, I mean in hundreds and thousands, to make the festival a success with all the planning we have done for this event.
કલ્ચરલ ફેસ્ટિવલ ઇન્ડિયાનું થવાનું છે એવું દરેક મેજર મંદિરોમાં આપણે મોડલ કલ્ચરલ ફેસ્ટિવલ લાવીને શિકાગોના યશવંતભાઈ એ મોડલ લઈને બધે ફરતા એટલે અહીંયા આગળ અમે હ્યુસ્ટનમાં આવું આપણે પ્રેઝન્ટેશન કર્યું હતું કિશોરભાઈ મહેતા ફ્લાઇટ એની આવે એની વાત કરે એટલે આવી પબ્લિસિટી તો આપણે આપતા હતા જ.
We also started making announcements and presentations in local community gatherings and events to inform people about the festival. One of the major things that we also did was we created colorful and vibrant posters in thousands that reflected the essence of the festival. And our volunteers would pack them and mail them to different areas in locations across the country so that we can be posted in high traffic areas to generate awareness.
We knew that organizing an event of this magnitude, spending an entire month, was far beyond what we were capable of at that time. But we had something far greater than the resources. We had our faith. Faith in our Guru Pramukh Swami Maharaj, whose vision lit the path ahead. It was on July 12th, after years of meticulous planning and countless hours of hard work, the ancient culture of the East, rich with thousands of years of heritage, came to life on the grounds of Middlesex Community College in Edison, New Jersey.
I think that the thousands of people who come to this festival are going to make some very important discoveries about India and about the history of ideas. So to everyone today who has made this passage of India here in the Garden State possible, we hope that those who come through in the next month will leave with good memories and an unforgettable experience. God bless you and thank you all very much.
It was a 200-acre campus, but in that we were able to use this beautiful undulating small slopes and everything, about 40 acres of land. The temples were made of paper pulp and plaster of Paris. The chariot temple which enshrined Radha Krishna Dev, the cane temple which had the 4 faces of Brahma that enshrined Lord Shiva and Parvati, the 5 pinnacle temple which was pink in shade that enshrined Lord Akshar Purushottam.
એ આખો ગેટ જે પીકોક ગેટ થયો કેનનો વેરી બ્યુટિફુલ વન ઓફ ધ બેસ્ટ ગેટ્સ અચીસવી સંસ્થામાં થયો એમાં વન ઓફ ધ બેસ્ટ ગેટ દેટ ટાઈમ કેન બેન્ડિંગ કરીને ઇટ ઇઝ ટીડિયસ જોબ એને હીટિંગ કરીને કેનને બેન્ડ કરવાના, એ શેપ્સ કરવાના અને એમાંથી આખા પીકોક્સ અને ડિઝાઇન્સ ને બધું કર્યું હતું.
આ ઉપરાંત આપણે ત્યાં આગળ આખું એક વિલેજ બનાવેલું કે ભારતમાં વિલેજ કેવું હોય અને એમાં જે બધા કારીગરો કામ કરતા હોય, કોઈ માટલા ઘડતા હોય, કોઈ સુથારી કામ કરતા હોય, કોઈ એ રીતે સીવણ કામ કરતા હોય, અનેક પ્રકારના નાના મોટા કામ લોકો જે કરતા હોય છે એના દ્રશ્યો આપણે રજૂ કરેલા. એ પ્રમાણે આપણે કારીગરોને પણ અહીંથી ત્યાં આગળ લઈ ગયેલા.
So there were stalls, Indian food, and a lot of people don't know taste of India, and they wanted all different types of, from samosas to dosa to various other sweets and everything else. We wanted to tell people that how rich our food is, and they just used to love it. At the end of the evening, we were running out of the food because they just love it. And funny part is, khichdi was one of the hot selling item. People just loved it.
When we sat down to master plan the whole festival, of course there would be gates, spots, there would be temples, there would be places where people could gather for assemblies or dining areas, even souvenirs. So everything had to be there in the festival. But one emphasis which was always there in the mind of Pujya Ishwarcharan Swami, just as the assembly hall is important because we impart knowledge, exhibition would also give education and knowledge. So all these exhibitions were divided into 3 special exhibitions. One which was titled India, a Cultural Millionaire, which explored the wonders of India, natural and man-made, which also explored the glory of India, and then also the tradition and culture of India, which made people feel that the culture of India was unique. The second exhibition was titled Beautiful Borderless World, which actually explored the idea of harmony, unity, and the forces that disunite us, that keeps us apart. And the third exhibition was titled In the Joy of Others, from the great words of His Holiness Pramukh Swami Maharaj, which actually summarize the life of a genuine spiritual person. Just as nature lives for others, saints live for others, so do the values of great seers and sages.
મને યાદ છે કે હિસ્ટનથી એક ભાઈ ગયા અને એમના દીકરાને લઈ ગયેલા લગભગ 20-21 વર્ષનો. એ પ્રદર્શન જોઈને નીકળ્યા ને બહાર, એના છોકરાએ સામેથી કહ્યું કે આઈ વિલ નોટ ઈટ મીટ ફ્રોમ ટુડે. એ આપણી ફળશ્રુતિ હતી. આવા તો ઘણા હશે, પણ આ તો અમને જે ખબર પડી હતી ખબર પડી.
So all these were amazing, and they actually transported India through space and time. And everybody felt that this was India in spirit, in culture, in art and architecture.
We knew that while we had built a stunning nagar, complete with gates, bustling bazaars, food stalls, exhibitions, our true goal was to bring the essence of India to life here in North America. To achieve that, we organized live programs that showcased India's vibrant music and dance, but also deep spirituality and messages of peace and harmony.
There was a satellite stages where ladies and kids, gents, they performed different folk dances of India. They were trained for 1 year to perform 46 different folk dances, and so in traditional way, traditional dress and traditional music.
India is well known for various cultural dances, and each dance or each cultural programs are different in different region. People used to sit there for hours there because we had 26 dances. Those dances from all different regions, from Rajasthan, Orissa, Punjab, Gujarat, everywhere different the dances were presented.
They brought the tastes and sounds and experiences of India to the United States. These different dances that were done during that time frame brought those experiences and that culture, the dress, everything from those different states to the United States.
घर रंग उड़े गुलाल अंग 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 भीग मची मन में धमाल हर नर चंग संग नाचे नाचे कमाल मुख दीजे का देख हंस रंगे हुए गा होली आई रे होली आई रे होली मोर बोले प्रेम का संदेशा लेके डोले प्रेम का संदेशा
One of the attractions in this festival was Indian Cultural Parade. In that parade, we had almost like 300 plus participants. There were dances in there. There were various uniforms, cultural dresses of different region, and music. Music was live. There were people used to line up almost half an hour before to see the parade itself because it was such a colorful parade.
We invited musicians and instrument players, sitar and dilruba and santoor and tabla, so that gave people the beautiful music, which is a great thing about our culture.
ભારતીયો બધા અમેરિકા અને કેનેડામાં આવ્યા એ પોતે પોતાની બુદ્ધિ શક્તિ વાપરી અને જે અકલ્પનીય સિદ્ધિઓ એમણે પ્રાપ્ત કરી એવા ભારતીયોને કેમ ન સન્માનવા કારણ કે એ ભારતનું ગૌરવ કહેવાય એટલે એ ધ્યાનમાં રાખીને પ્રમુખ સ્વામી મહારાજે કહ્યું કે આવા જે કોઈ ભારતીયો હોય ભારતના કોઈ પણ ખૂણામાંથી આવેલા હોય એ બધાને શોધી અને આપણે એમને સન્માનવા જોઈએ એમની સિદ્ધિઓને આપણે એવી રીતે વખાણવી જોઈએ.
We invited different people like Hindu Swamis who gave discourses of our Hindu values and cultures and spiritual values.
We are not organizing this festival of India is by only Hindus or by Swaminarayan. No, we are organizing this function under leadership of Pramukh Swami from all Indian peoples.
Another, on the satellite state, there was a Krishna Leela, beautiful episodes from Shri Krishna, but beautifully displayed, you know.
मुझे मार ना सकेगा कोई दूजा, मथुरा का मैं हूँ कंस राजा। भैया चराने देखो आया कन्हैया, बाल बाल संग घूमे घूमे चरवैया, भैया चराने देखो।
अर्जुन को श्री कृष्ण ने दिया है गीता ज्ञान, सारथी बनकर कृष्ण ने किया धर्म युद्ध का मान। अर्जुन को श्री कृष्ण ने
सब है मेरे भाई प्रभु, मैं किस पे करूँगा वार, कोई सखा है कोई गुरुवर, सब पे मेरा प्यार।
धर्म युद्ध में धर्म के खातिर लड़ना नहीं है पाप, धर्म के नाम पे नहीं लड़ना ये है दुर्जन का काम। किसको कौन है मारता, सब है विधि का खेल, जो आया उसे जाना वापस, सब है झूठा मेल। अर्जुन को श्री कृष्ण ने।
और एक ठोस सत्य भी सुन लो कि ऐसे महापुरुष इस देश में सदा सदा के लिए प्रकट होते रहते हैं।
And another item was the drama about Alexander the Great and the great sage of Hindu religion. So the dialogue between them. And then Alexander realized that these Swamis, fakirs of India, though they look simple, half naked, but they have the knowledge of Atma and they are fearless.
चाहे लाख सजा लो कुछ न ऐसा, राजा रंग फकीर सभी को जाना खाली हाथ। छोड़ जा रहा है, छोड़ जा रहा